to see another plant which really has a very interesting history. We would call it a weed, but actually this is a plant that was introduced by the Romans as a vegetable. It's called Alexander's, and it's a Mediterranean plant. It's not native to this country, and it was grown by the Romans for their table until the arrival of celery, which it somewhat resembles in flavour, took its place. Now, it's a plant from the Mediterranean, and it's been brought here, and it established itself on the coast. Strangely, in the last 20, 25, 30 years, it started a march inland. Like a lot of weeds, they're called weeds, they're super successful. Now, whereas this plant didn't exist off the coast for a while, now it's marching northwards. And yes, this is it, it's Alexander's. Here's another plant from the Mediterranean. This is commonly known as ivy-leaved toadflax. And it's another plant that was introduced hundreds of years ago, but it's not native to this country. Now it grows almost everywhere. So when you're out and about, look at walls. Its botanic name is Cymballium muralis, and cymballium is where we get the word cymbal from. And sometimes I tell the children that actually this is where the fairies come to make their music. It's got something else rather fun with the flowers, if I can reach through and get one. I don't know if you can get close enough for this, but if I hold that flower and I squeeze it from the sides, hello, how are you today? So, we have a little fairy rabbit. Hello. There's another plant here which doesn't belong in England, and this one has an interesting history. This is called Oxford ragwort. It's something we have to be careful of on the farm because it's poisonous to animals. It has a really interesting history. It really was introduced from volcanic slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily, and it was first grown at Oxford Botanic Gardens. That's an example of a plant that's got its common name from a place, although it has nothing to do with its origins. It started off in Oxford Botanic Gardens a couple of hundred years ago, and gradually, year on year, it reached outside of Oxford Botanic Gardens, and it has wispy seeds. And in the days of steam trains, and in the days when you could open windows, seeds would drift into a carriage and then drift out again a few miles down the road. And here we are next to the railways all around us, and this is exactly how this plant got to arrive here. So there we are, Oxford ragwort, all the way from Mount Etna in Sicily. Here's another weed. It's useful for us because actually it's completely edible. It's something that we can eat in the same way that we can eat dandelion. It's called sow thistle, and it's very, very common with these rather sweet yellow flowers, and it's actually one of Owl the Tortoise's favourite plants. I could be collecting these for me, but I'm not. I'm collecting these leaves for Owl the Tortoise, and it's one of his favourite foods. He particularly likes these yellow flowers, so I picked them and we're going to feed them to him whole. Hi, welcome to Owl the Tortoise. Owl is a rescued tortoise. He's not a farm animal. But as you saw me before, I was collecting leaves from the sow thistle up on the manure heap. And Owl loves to eat sow thistle flowers, and I can show you that here. Owl's quite interesting too, because Owl's mouth is called a beak. Can you see? And he uses his beak to bite and swallow the flowers pretty much without chewing. They go straight down and then are digested inside. In the wild, tortoises have lots of little pinworms that live in their gut, so they will eat the food that owls eat, and their poo helps to nourish the tortoise. I know it sounds very bizarre, but that's the way it is. Here are the leaves of the sow thistle. Remember I said we can eat these, which we can. Now, Owl, come back. Here, there we are. There's another flower for you there. I know how much you like those. There we are. Now, owls' legs are covered in scales, and some people believe that before there were any birds in the world, there were the animals like the reptiles. And he has scaly legs and a beak, just as birds do, and of course tortoises lay eggs as well. Here we are. What about that leaf? I think I was thinking, actually, I prefer the flowers. What do you think, Al? Prefer the flowers? We have a little crunch there.